We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. US President Joe Biden says Israel must change how it is carrying out campaign in Gaza or face consequences. India's central bank, the Reserve Bank of India, is set to announce its monetary policy on Friday. This will be the first announcement for the current financial year. Election campaign picks momentum for parliamentary polls in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address rally in northern state of Rajasthan. Opposition party Congress to release its poll manifesto. And in cricket, Punjab Kings return to winning ways in the match 17 of Indian Premier League 2024 as Shashank Singh fires unbeaten 61 in successful run chase of 200 against Gujarat Titans in Ahmedabad. All right, news in detail now. The US president has said American policy on Gaza will be determined by whether Israel takes steps to address the safety of aid workers. US President Joe Biden had a telephonic call with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu on Thursday.
On that phone call, the president emphasized that the strikes on humanitarian workers and the overall humanitarian situation in Gaza are unacceptable. He made clear the need for Israel to announce and to implement a series of specific, concrete, and measurable steps to address civilian harm, humanitarian suffering, and the safety of aid workers. He made clear that U.S. policy with respect to Gaza will be determined by our assessment of Israel's immediate action on these steps. If we don't see changes from their side, there'll have to be changes from our side, but I won't preview what that could look like.
Also, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken supported Biden's comments. Blinken said Washington's policy on Gaza depended on immediate action by Israel to improve the humanitarian situation. He was speaking at the close of a two-day meeting of NATO foreign ministers to mark the alliance's 75th anniversary. Blinken's comments come in the wake of an Israeli attack on a World Central Kitchen charity convoy this week that killed 7 food aid workers.
President Biden spoke a short while ago with Prime Minister Netanyahu. The leaders discussed the situation in Gaza. The president emphasized that the strikes on humanitarian workers and the overall humanitarian situation are unacceptable. He made clear the need for Israel to announce a series of specific, concrete, and measurable steps to address civilian harm, humanitarian suffering, and the safety of aid workers. He made clear that U.S. policy with respect to Gaza will be determined by our assessment of Israel's immediate action on these steps. He underscored as well that an immediate ceasefire is essential to stabilize and improve the humanitarian situation and protect innocent civilians, and he urged Prime Minister Netanyahu to empower his negotiators to conclude a deal without delay to bring the hostages home.
And as media reports are doing rounds that Israeli military has been using artificial intelligence to help identify bombing targets in Gaza, the White House said it was looking into such reports. In an interview, U.S. National Security spokesperson John Kirby said the U.S. had not verified the content of the media report published in a magazine. It cited Israeli intelligence officials involved in the reported program known as Lavender. The Israeli Defense Forces has denied that AI was used to identify suspected extremists and targets. On the reports of opening of the Erez crossing with Gaza to allow more humanitarian aid to enter, Kirby said the opening of the crossing would be welcome news if true. And after terming the strike on several aid workers as intended, Israel said on Thursday it would adjust tactics in the Gaza war. Israel military has acknowledged airstrikes on World Central Kitchen staff as a major mistake and said that inquiry findings would be made public soon. Monday's incident has stoked anger at the mounting civilian toll in the Israel-Hamas conflict, especially as the slain World Central Kitchen staff included Australian, British and Polish citizens, along with a US-Canadian dual national. As a preliminary move to make amends for the WCK deaths, Israel said it would set up a joint operational coordination room with humanitarian agencies located within the military's Southern Command, where Gaza missions are directly managed. An international aid group said on Thursday there is nothing more they can do to protect staff in the Gaza Strip and that it is up to Israel as the United Nations appealed for direct humanitarian coordination with the Israeli military. UN spokesperson Stephen Dujarric on Thursday said the situation in Gaza is not going in the right direction. 10 days after the United Nations Security Council adopted a resolution demanding an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Palestinian terrorist group Hamas.
Not going in the right direction. The assessment is in terms of the Security Council resolution. The fighting in Gaza is continuing. The Israeli operations are continuing. The hostages continue to be detained. I mean, I think the Secretary General has been very clear at his grave concern, not only the situation in Gaza, but the situation along the Blue Line, the situation in Syria, and the risk of a regional escalation that would impact civilians even more, people living in Lebanon, people living in Gaza, people living in Israel, in Syria and the West Bank and the broader region.
And U.S. President Joe Biden will meet with families of workers lost to the collapse of Baltimore bridge hit by a container ship. Biden is slated to visit the collapse site Friday, with his trip expected to include meetings with state and local officials as well as a look at response efforts. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said in a press conference that the president will join Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg along with federal, state and city officials during his trip. The Biden White House on Thursday said it has talked to big companies in the Baltimore area to encourage them not to lay off workers following the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge last week. And U.S. President Joe Biden celebrated the 203rd anniversary of the Greek Independence Day with a reception at the White House on Thursday. Accompanied by the Archbishop of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America, the president celebrated the ties and friendship between the United States and Greece and applauded the Greeks for being the developers of democracy. Biden called on the citizens of both nations to continue to fight for democracy. Archbishop Elpidophorus praised Biden for being an ally for their brothers and sisters in Ukraine.
Today we celebrate 203 years of Greek independence, 203 years. And we celebrate the ties of friendship and family between Greece and the United States that stretch back even longer than that. Archbishop, the folks in this room embody those ties. We have proud Greek Americans here in the worlds of science, journalism, academia, finance, as well as small business owners.
Well, a cruise ship detained in Barcelona since Tuesday due to forged visas has been allowed to continue on its route through the Mediterranean Sea. The 69 Bolivians, including families with children, were taken to the port transit area. The cruise ship MSC Harmonia, which began its journey in Brazil, arrived in Barcelona early on April 2nd and was scheduled to leave for Corsica off the French coast later that day. It was detained after authorities discovered the Bolivian nationals' visas were invalid and they were also carrying false documents. The Bolivians, denied access to Spanish territory, will be taken to another boat while authorities process their cases to decide on potential deportations or granting of asylum. And Kuwait held national elections on Thursday for the fourth time in as many years in its latest attempt to end political gridlock. These are the first elections since Sheikh Mishal Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber resumed power after the death of his half-brother in December. The new Emir dissolved parliament in February after a lawmaker reportedly insulted him. Voters will choose among 200 candidates to fill 50 seats in the assembly, and the number of voters was estimated at 835,000. There are no political parties. Kuwait consists of 5 electoral districts, each with 10 lawmakers. Candidates who secure the top 10 positions in each district win parliamentary seats. And Peru's Congress on Thursday voted twice against formally debating the start of a process to impeach President Dina Boluart for possessing and wearing expensive jewelry, including luxury Rolex watches. Boluart is facing a probe for alleged illicit enrichment by improperly acquiring the high-end watches. She has denied all wrongdoing, but the case was further complicated this week when the probe expanded into bank deposits of unknown origin. Approval to launch the process was unlikely, as conservative and right-wing lawmakers had signaled support for the president, saying they wanted to avoid a major political crisis. And the Spanish Coast Guard Service rescued 73 migrants from a wooden boat in the seas of the Canary Islands on Thursday. Coast Guards assisted injured migrants after the vessel towed the wooden boat to the Aguinguen port in the island of Gran Canaria. The EU border agency Frontex says the Atlantic route to the Canary Islands is currently the busiest route for irregular migration from West Africa into the European Union. The number of people making the perilous journey between January 1st and March 31st reached 1,315 compared with 2,178 during the same period last year. Well, the satellite imagery captured shows a storm system swirling over the United States Midwest and Northeast. The storm continued its move eastwards on Thursday, bringing heavy rain and snowfall to New England and the Northeast, causing severe weather wreaked havoc on multiple cities across the region and spawned a succession of tornadoes that damaged infrastructure and homes. And weather forecasters predict an extremely active 2024 Atlantic hurricane season because of warm sea surface temperatures and less wind shear to break up storms in the summer and fall. Experts predict 5 major hurricanes to hit with gusts above 178 km per hour, many places near the region. Last year, there were 3 major hurricanes that formed among 7 hurricanes and 20 named storms. The forecast predicts of above-average sea surface temperatures that may fuel hurricanes in the impending end of the El Nino weather pattern. Well, the thunderstorms dumped heavy rains that caused severe flooding in parts of West Virginia. Authorities issued a state of emergency in at least 5 counties, enabling the National Guard to activate swift water rescue teams and use helicopters in areas hit by flood waters. The heavy downpour dumped up to 6 inches of rain in a short amount of time on Monday, sending several creeks out of their banks. First responders conducted at least 22 water rescues in the county. And a multi-million-dollar mudslinging battle over Walt Disney's future will officially end on Wednesday, after Walt Disney shareholders have backed Chief Executive Bob Iger and other company directors, defeating a campaign by activist investors who argue the entertainment giant has underperformed in the streaming television era. The company's largest shareholder, Vanguard Group, and other investors had voted in favor of Iger and the 11 other incumbent directors, people familiar with their votes said. With that battle over, Disney's hunt for a successor to Iger kicks into high gear. The board has extended his retirement 5 times, and his new date is by the end of 2026. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Spring burst in London as cherry blossoms display took over an exhibition space in the city centre. The display has opened ahead of the National Trust Blossom Week, which starts from 20th to 27th of April. The exhibition took audiences on a digital journey as they watched the blossom bloom into life and spread across screens covering the walls and ceiling of an open access, the London's famous Oxford Street. An airplane made emergency landing on a highway in North Carolina. The pilot was the only person in the airplane. No casualties were reported. The plane hit two vehicles during the emergency landing. The airplane took off from Lynchburg, Virginia, with a flight plan that had it landing in Ocean Isle Beach in North Carolina. A dazzling, custom-bound assigned first edition of Truman Capote's renowned Breakfast at Tiffany's will debut at the New York Book Fair, the 64th edition of the New York Book Fair at the Park Avenue Armory in New York from April 4th to 7th, coinciding with the 75th anniversary of the ABAA. The all-female team behind musical Mamma Mia, based on songs by Swedish pop group, celebrates 25 years in London's West End, showcasing the zeal of talent, marking 50 years since the release of the 1974 song Waterloo, which brought them to global attention. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. As India gears up for general election, campaign gathers momentum, PM Modi to address rallies in Rajasthan. The much-revered Buddha relics presented to Dalai Lama. And Rafael Nadal withdraws from the upcoming Monte Carlo Masters. We'll tell you more ahead.
Land of Shivaji Maharaj goes to polls in 5 phases. In a race where local politics hold more sway than the national narrative, Maharashtra witnesses a chaotic election unlike any it has seen before. How will the regional satraps hold their ground in this election that could be a game changer to their fortunes? Join us in the battle for Maharashtra on the Great Indian Election at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT. Only on DD India.
How did the People's Republic of China capture Tibet back in the day? And is it time to consider a social media ban for kids? Watch Connecting the Dots to get the full picture every Friday at 8 p.m. IST on DD India.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs. With a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, India's central bank, the Reserve Bank of India, first bi-monthly Monetary Policy Committee meeting for the year 2024-25 held in Mumbai on Thursday. RBI Governor will deliver the statement on Friday. The central bank's last such meeting had maintained the key interest rate unchanged at 6.5% for the 6th straight time. And let's now get you the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. With just days to go for parliamentary polls, leaders have intensified their campaign to woo the voters in their favour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who was in Bihar and West Bengal yesterday, will visit Rajasthan today. Prime Minister is scheduled to address rally in Churu today. BJP has fielded Paralympian Devendra Jajhadhya from Churu. The main contest is between the BJP and the Congress party here. The state of Rajasthan has 25 seats in the lower house of the parliament. Prime Minister Modi is expected to reach the Churu police lines by 11:30 Indian Standard Time. And Congress party is set to release its election manifesto at the All India Congress Committee office in New Delhi today. Following the release of election manifesto called Nyay Patra, party will also hold 2 rallies on April 6th After the April 5th event in Delhi, Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, former party chief Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi and Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi Vadra will fly to Jaipur on April 6th to attend a mega rally where they will launch their manifesto. Late in the day, Rahul will also attend a rally in Hyderabad to release the manifesto. And 4 states go to the polls in 2 phases. Rajasthan, the largest state in India by area and is renowned for its rich cultural heritage, vibrant traditions and historical significance. Let's take a look at its significance in terms of the upcoming general elections in India.
The mention of Rajasthan brings to memory rich culture, history and heritage that has stood the test of time. Rajasthan is synonymous with tourism. World-famous castles, forts and palaces built by the erstwhile royals are a main attraction for global tourists. Rajasthan is the largest state in India with an area of over 342,000 square kilometers. It is located in the northwestern part of the country with the Thar Desert covering a significant portion of the state. The state of Rajasthan was formed on March 30th, 1949 with Jaipur as its designated capital city. As India goes to polls this year, the political barometer of Rajasthan is rising with parties eyeing the 25 seats of Lok Sabha, the lower house of the Indian Parliament. The 2024 general election in Rajasthan is being conducted in 2 phases on April 19th and May 26th. Rajasthan's population is about 81.3 million, out of which a total of 52.6 million voters are registered in the state. The state has 27.4 million male voters, 25.3 million female voters, and about 600 voters from the third gender. The Bharatiya Janata Party, Indian National Congress, Rashtriya Lokatantrik Party, the Bahujan Samaj Party and the Rashtriya Lok Dal are the prominent players in the state. Looking back at the 2019 general elections, the BJP not only swept the polls but also increased its vote share to 59.07%. Rajasthan saw BJP-led NDA scoring 24 out of the 25 seats, along with the Rashtriya Lokatantrik Party securing 1 seat, and no seat was won by the Indian National Congress. As the parliamentary election dates are now set for the political matches in Rajasthan, the BJP is aiming for a repeat of 2019 blockbuster, while the other parties have upped their ante to improve their scores in the desert state. Election Desk, DD India.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. An earthquake of magnitude 5.3 hit India's northern state of Himachal Pradesh on Thursday. The National Centre for Seismology said the earthquake occurred in Chamba district of the state and the tremors were felt across parts of North India, including Chandigarh, Punjab and Haryana. The officials added the quake originated at a depth of 10 kilometers. There has been no immediate reports of damage. Indian Coast Guard ship Samudra Parhededar on OSD at Ho Chi Minh City conducted joint training on marine oil pollution response with the Vietnam Coast Guard. During the training, a demonstration of the ship's pollution response equipment was carried out, showcasing the resolve of ICG for shared concern of marine pollution response in the ASEAN region. When Dr. Vasudeva Mahindavaksa Mahayankit, hero of the Raja Guru of Sri Subhutu Mahavira Monastery of Sri Lanka, presented Buddha relics to Dalai Lama in India's Himachal Pradesh, when Dr. Vasudeva Mahakanivasa is the custodian of the Kapilavastu relics of Buddha. A massive fire broke out at a factory in Ghaziabad's Lal Kuan industrial area on Thursday. 6 fire tenders rushed to the spot to douse the flames as soon as the information was received. No casualties have been reported as yet. The cause of the fire is yet to be ascertained. And in sports, moving on to Indian Premier League 2024, Shikhar Dhawan's Punjab Kings won their second game this season, beating Gujarat Titans by 3 wickets away from home in Ahmedabad on Thursday. Shashank Singh pulled off a stunning run chase for Punjab Kings as they chased down to 100. Both teams missed out on their middle order heavy hitters, with Liam Livingstone and David Miller missing out. Sikandar Raza and Kane Williamson get their first matches of the IPL season. Shubham Gill smashed a brilliant 89 off 48 balls to power Gujarat Titans to 199 for 4. In the run chase, Punjab kept losing wickets at regular intervals, but Shashank, along with a fine cameo from Ashutosh Sharma, powered his side home to the target with a ball to spare. And Rafael Nadal withdrew from the upcoming Monte Carlo Masters on Thursday, saying his body is not yet ready for competition. The 37-year-old Spaniard, who has said he expects to retire after the 2024 season, returned to competition in Brisbane in January. This was after almost a year he was sidelined with a hip flexor injury, but has not played on ATP event since. Nadal said his body simply won't allow him to play for now. The Monte Carlo Masters begins on Sunday. Nadal has won the event a record of 11 times, with his last victory coming in 2018. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Vipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.